back. I wanted to something I didn't mention with RFK Jr. was how much into conspiracies he is. And I wanted to pull up this video that when did he release this a while ago? This is about COVID, of course, the conspiracies. You got to be careful with COVID conspiracies on YouTube because YouTube may ban you. I had to have the ones with vaccine information, but I've shared this one plenty of times, so it's going to be fine. But this is RFK Jr. saying that he believed COVID was genetically engineered to affect certain races right there, because I can't listen to RFK's voice anymore. Look at the guy behind him. Look at the guy's face.
So TJ, I read the transcript of this. I hadn't actually watched the video. Both the guy behind him and the guy in like the foreground of the camera shot are just like, God, I can't believe I have to listen to this fucking guy. This is the guy we all have to listen to. Like we've all been in that room, whether it be like at work or whatever, when like the fucking dumbass CEO is talking and you just have to sit there and be like,
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. John Freeze. Look at this. We're one by one. We're losing, folks. You guys don't even know who we are. But for those of you who didn't catch that, oh, there he is. John's back. All right, cool. Go ahead, John. What were you saying?
Am I back? Yeah, I just glitched out there. What was I saying, TJ, before I went out?
You were saying everyone's been in a room where like the CEO is droning on about something ridiculous.
And that's exactly what their faces were. I instantly recognized it as soon as I saw it. And I like, this is one of the things that surprised me. Like, working class people, whatever. Everyone's been in that room. Everyone has been in a room where the powerful guy is talking utter bullshit, and they recognize the faces of everyone else in the room. I just don't understand how people watch that clip and don't instantly recognize it in the same way I did.
Yeah, I wanted to. Oh, we got Tennessee Brando back here. Awesome. Can you hear us, Brandon?
Yep.
Yeah, you just missed the clip we played. We were pulling up RFK Jr. and he was talking about, I don't know if you saw the clip. So actually, we should have done this for people watching, because we're used to hearing RFK Jr.'s voice, and you guys may not be if you're not deep in the politics like we are. It's so grating. But he was saying that COVID-19.
You're about very used to it. All of America is about.
Oh my God, aren't you? Yeah. You're gonna. He was saying that COVID-19 was genetically engineered to not infect Chinese people and Jewish people, is what he was saying. Completely insane, like absolutely bonkers. And the people at the table knew it. But, he's a Kennedy, and so we got to pay respect to this guy or whatever. And I wanted to share one more with RFK Jr. is something he said, because I think you brought this up, Brandon. You brought up the fluoride in the water thing. Yeah. And RFK Jr., believe it or not, he has thoughts on this as well. So let me see. Here he goes.
These huge levels of depression and despair, loneliness in kids. And I don't think that there's a single cause to it. And I think blaming it on, depression about climate is probably oversimplistic. And in fact, I think a lot of the problems we see in kids, and particularly boys, it's probably underappreciated that how much of that is coming from chemical exposures, including a lot of the sexual dysphoria that we're seeing. They're swimming through a soup of toxic chemicals today, and many of those are endocrine disruptors. There's atrazine throughout our water supply. Atrazine, by the way, if you in a lab put atrazine in a tank full of frogs, it will chemically castrate and forcibly feminize every frog. The frogs, the male frogs will turn into fully viable females able to produce viable eggs. If it's doing that to frogs, it could. There's a lot of other evidence that it's doing it to human beings as well.
Now, John, I think you have something to say, but before you do, I want to ask a question. I'll posit this towards Tennessee Brando. You're the guest of the show. I know you're the guest here, Tennessee Brando, so I'm sorry for putting you on the spot with a science question, but can you help me out with this? Are frogs people? Are frogs human beings? Is that a yes or no? Can you help me out with that? Yeah, I didn't think so. I thought frogs and human beings are mammals. Frogs are amphibians. On the evolutionary chart, we diverged a long fucking time ago. And John, I'm guessing you're laughing because what RFK Jr. is saying is what Alex Jones was saying. It's the same thing. Oh, go ahead.
What was going through that's why I started cracking up. That's a direct Alex Jones theory.
It's and that's why I said I do actually legitimately believe that the Department of Health and Human Services, or Health and Human Sciences, or Services, it could actually flip RFK, because he can believe that you can make him believe anything. you know, and these people are going to be around him, working around him and they're very smart people who can probably convince him to do a lot of the right things, even when he's going to do a lot of dumb things. So I don't know. Who knows? But that was hilarious. I can't believe he actually believes it. That's something that's been like widely debunked so much that it's become a meme. And I can't believe he didn't like understand that was fake.
Well, I mean, the thing you said with the frogs though isn't fake. Like for people,
well, the frogs specifically,
people,
yeah. But like still, like the fact that it would never apply to humans, just like. Yeah.
For those of you who don't study amphibians for a living out there, like what we're talking about here is Alex Jones is very popular for the meme from years ago where he says they're turning the friggin' frogs gay, and he's referencing this because now RFK Jr. is correct. Once again, like most conspiracies, there's a kernel of truth. And then it just explodes out into absolute insanity. Is that yes, it's true that with a certain species of frogs, if you submerge them in water that has this chemical in it, it will activate the process for the frogs to change sexes. Because a lot of animals can do that. I don't know if you guys have seen. There's Netflix had this documentary about these fish, and if there are no males, the female fish will turn into a male to populate the species. Frogs, Jurassic Park, they went over this about how you can control the sex of the reptiles and stuff. Now, that's true. The chemical can alter that with frogs. But instead of taking this information and saying, okay, we should make sure that the EPA, that the government is regulating businesses so they don't get to dump chemicals in the water and disrupt these animal population. Because if you turn 90% of the frogs from males to females, that frog species is going to be endangered. It might go extinct, or at least in that area. Instead of going down that route, they say, they're doing it to people too, because people have the same genetic structure as bullfrogs, in that if it's in the water, it can hurt them. Now, the same goes to fluoride, though. Like with fluoride, you've heard people campaigning that fluoride it calcifies the pineal gland or something like that, and they're using it to control you. At certain levels, fluoride is dangerous, of course, like anything else, and there should be regulations on that. But they just go off into these wild tangents. And I don't know, John. I'm not convinced RFK is going to see the data on this. Like, I'm wrong.
I'm not either. I'm saying this is pure hopium. But of everyone, that's why I say of all of the appointments, I don't think this is one of the most dangerous. I also don't think it's going to last very long because he serves no political purpose to Donald Trump anymore. So, I think he's going to be a scapegoat at some point.
What do you think, Brandon?
I think so too, and I'm sorry for getting distracted, but the comment section kind of went crazy there just for a minute when we started talking. And I saw some like they're eating. They were saying they're eating the frogs, and just
eating the frogs.
I read that in Donald Trump's voice, so I kind of got distracted for a minute because I started reading that comment in his voice. But I just never thought we would be here in. Feels like we're on the movie Idiocracy now, and we're just like,
we very much are, Brandon.
We are, yeah.
It could not be more accurate.
When you stepped away, Brando, someone wrote Brando is Brondo. And I you guys remember in Idiocracy, Brondo is not what plants crave. For those of you wondering what that reference was, we do get a lot of Idiocracy references because how could you not? How could you not, right? It reminds me of when Christopher Hitchens, he used to write for The Nation magazine, and I remember him saying that he went to North Korea. He went to visit North Korea, and he got to write about his time there. And when he showed up, he says, "I'm not going to mention 1984. I'm not going to mention 1984." And one day he said, "Fuck, I have to mention 1984. There's no way around it." It's like you can't look at Matt Gaetz being appointed to Attorney General and think anything other than Idiocracy. I guarantee we'll have an exact situation where Trump will appoint someone as Secretary of the Interior, and he's like, I have no idea what the Secretary of the Interior does. That's going to happen. That it's and I don't know what you can do about that and how sad it's going to be. But I think RFK Jr. is honestly the best example of that, and we're in for a wild ride.
We really are.
I don't know. Any closeout thoughts you got for us, Tennessee Brando, with your time here?
Yeah, man, we are in for some crazy times. I think we're in for it for the next 2 years at least. And like we talked about earlier, if we can just get enough people motivated to go to the midterms, maybe we can see something start to change. We're just going to have to hold on. I was talking to Coach D earlier when I heard the news of RFK, and I was like, "What do we do?" And he's like, "Well, we just hold on to the midterms. We just brace for impact at this point." And that's what it feels like to me right now. Like I said earlier, I just keep saying to myself, well, we still have December and we still have till January 20th before this insanity takes over. So I do kind of feel like I hate to say this, I feel like we're on a plane and someone has said, okay, everybody, like we're going to try to get this thing to land and we might have a rough landing. Everybody brace. That's kind of how it feels. I know it's kind of a hopeless feeling, but we just got to hang in there. And like we said earlier, keep having the good conversations and just try to keep a voice of reason during all this. Cause it's going to be a crazy 2 years for sure. And who knows how long we're going to be locked into it.
Yeah, that's true. The 2 years are all we can hope for. Well, because like if the 2 years, nothing changes, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. I wanted to bring up this comment here. Thank you guys for all the comments. I know they're for Tennessee Brandon, but we really appreciate them. We really appreciate
them. We also really appreciate you subscribing to the Left Wing.
Yes,
be sure to subscribe to the Left Wing Pod.
I wanted to bring up this comment that Liz Presley wrote, and Brainworms 2024. Woo! I don't know if you guys know this. I forget that people aren't as immersed in this as we are. But what Liz is talking about is the fact that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has literal brainworms. And he literally has brainworms. And the story behind it is he started getting these headaches and he didn't know why. And if you remember his uncle, Ted Kennedy, he died of brain cancer in the early 2000s or mid 2000s, something like that. And so people started telling him that, hey, man, your uncle died of brain cancer. You're getting headaches. You should probably go get this checked out. So he went to the doctor. They did the scan and everything. And the doctor told him, oh, wow, we see the mark here. You do have brain cancer. And he says, he's like, but I'm going to send you to an expert on this, someone who does this stuff all the time to get a second opinion, to get clarification. So he went to the specialist and the specialist says, oh, no, this looks like brain cancer. It's not. What it actually is a parasitic worm that has entered your body and into your brain, and it chewed up some of your brain and lived on its course and it died. That's what you're getting the headache from. So he has literal brain worms and an actual hole in his brain. And that's the one thing I always say I do commend RFK on, is that he's continuing the Kennedy tradition of having a hole in your head. He's doing that very well. You got to give him credit there. I mean, the man is going strong with the family. Bobby Kennedy Sr., John F. Kennedy would be that's the kind of show you're on, Tennessee Brandon. Just so you know, this is what the Left Wing Pod is.
No, that's my kind of dark humor.
That's good shit. That's good
Speaking
shit.
of humor, before we wrap this up, TJ, I did want to bring up the one piece of good news that came out today. That not that it gives me hope for anything that's actually going to happen, but it just gives me a little hope in humanity. Did you see what happened, since we were talking about turning the frogs gay? Did you see what happened to InfoWars today?
Yes, I did see that.
The Onion bought InfoWars. So for anyone who hasn't been following this saga, Alex Jones was sued into oblivion by the families of the Sandy Hook victims because of the conspiracy theories he made about them. And he was forced to auction off InfoWars, and The Onion bought it. And The Onion is a long-running satirical newspaper, or whatever you want to call it, that always fucking hits. One of the highest hit rates of any institution, whether it be news, comedy, political commentary, whatever. They always fucking nail it. And they swooped in and they bought up InfoWars, and I cannot wait to see what they turn that into. It gives me a little bit of excitement after a very, very long slog of bad news headlines.
Yeah, because so much of his headlines read like The Onion anyway. It's one of those things where, like, you read his headlines, you're like, is that real? And so I think that's kind of appropriate.
I saw an article talking about how The Onion spoke to the parents of the Sandy Hook victims before they purchased it. And they said that they wanted to, kind of get their blessing on it and everything. You got to wonder how that conversation went. It's like, folks, we're very sorry for your loss, but we want to do something really funny. We want to do something really funny. Like, that's just like, because that's kind of the incentive there.
And they were like, fuck yes. This is what my son died for.
Yeah, and speaking of dark humor, I'd be remiss if not going through this. After I told the RFK joke, we got ouch, we got damn, we got bad joke, We got over the line. We got and listen, everyone. Goddamn. Listen,
subscriptions, TJ. They're unsubscribing already.
Everyone who shied away from that joke. This is why no one will remember your name. Okay, that I'm just letting you know. Grow some confidence. If there's anyone you could joke about, it's dead Kennedys and awful Kennedys. Who else would you rather I make fun of? Right? Like just someone nice, someone good.
Honestly, TJ, is exactly what we're talking about. This is the kind of humor that needs to be allowed in left-wing discourse in order to break through to like Normie Joe, who listens to Joe Rogan twice a month, and that's all of his political news. This is what gets people to vote. I cannot stress this enough. You need to get more comfortable with this if you want to win elections.
Yeah, I just saw someone say, "Don't get me wrong, I laughed." So
yeah, there you go. Yeah, we're professionals here, folks. One of my favorite. I started saying this in high school, and I still say it. Whenever someone either says that my jokes have gone too far, or someone tries to be funny and they're not, I have the same response. Like, how about we leave the jokes to TJ? How about we do that? Okay, because like you guys getting mad about that? Hey, it's fine, whatever.